I entered the apprenticeship program in 1974 as a cabinet maker.
Just like everyone else, I started out as an apprentice, the gopher.
I came through the Carpenter Training Center 21 years ago, just like the students behind me.
I can remember my first day of school, being nervous, and then the instructor, kind of calming us all down. I also remember very well the people that taught me my trade, the gentlemen that put me underneath their wings.
Yeah, looks good. These removal?
I think all trade unions discovered years ago that training was the most important thing. The Chicago Regional Council of Carpenters International has 239 training centers throughout the United States and Canada.
Fostering excellence is paramount to the CRCC's mission. For half of a century, the CRCC's Apprentices in Training program has brought quality workers to the trades.
There's no cost to come to our school.
The CRCC and contractors cover the cost for each apprentice. For every hour worked in the field, a portion is returned to the training center. Apprentices are able to learn the trade debt-free while receiving college credit as they progress through the ranks. And the contractors?
Their motivation to invest in the training program is the people that they're going to get.
We choose to be a union shop because really it's the quality of the people that we're getting. We're only as good as the manpower we have, and we consider our guys to be some of the best.
You can almost look at a guy and know when he walks in the door whether he's been through the apprenticeship and whether he's a union guy or he's not. You can tell the difference in a heartbeat.
The enrollment process is we will put an ad in the papers mentioning that we are going to be taking in apprentices. There'll usually be a 2-month window. They will go to a local union in their area, submit their names.
After securing a recommendation from their local, they take a proficiency exam.
The proficiency test is for mathematics and also for visualization.
It's difficult because there's so many numbers. There's so many numbers.
They might be all freaked out about geometry or trigonometry or algebra. Well, we don't even use those words.
If they have a math problem or they don't succeed in passing the test, we will tutor them in the evening if they're willing to come back until they can pass the test.
At the end, the really fulfilling part is when the light bulb goes on.
We put the students that have passed their test in a lottery, and as we need students, we pull from that lottery.
I'm a veteran, and I'm part of the brotherhood.
The servicemen that come through the apprenticeship, they're very proud of what they've done, and they're very anxious to, take that pride and move it to the construction field.
The Chicago Regional Council is committed to hiring the heroes. If a veteran comes in after he's taken and passed the test, we put them to the top of the list.
But eventually, everyone in the pool wins the lottery and can enter the program.
I have waited about a year and a half to get into this program, and I am very excited to finally get in.
Good morning. Good morning, men.
They come in for 9 weeks. We get them ready for the field, get all their certifications, get their OSHA card.
The union apprentices that we send out to a job site are more trained than anybody else in the industry. We teach them to measure twice, cut once. We give them pieces of wood to cut to start with. And all they do is practice, practice, practice.
We're gonna do the dovetail, set up the dovetail jig and router. They're gonna know how to turn on a table saw, how to set up a drill press, how to use the various hand tools.
And after 9 weeks, the union finds them jobs.
The school actually gives them $300 worth of tools, basic tools, hand tools.
They get paid to come to school. When they're working out in the field, they're also paid. They go from first year to second year apprentice, third year apprentice, fourth year apprentice.
Every 3 months, we go back for another class, a specific class. It's a curriculum.
So you got to take courses, whether it's stairs, scaffold, rafters.
Nobody can believe what we do here. Nobody can envision what this training center looks like. Our training center here in Elk Grove Village is 160,000 square feet. We have a facility which we call the Annex across the street, which is 90,000 square feet.
Let's figure all our materials 1.25 inches, all right?
We have 23 classrooms.
17 light. You're holding 12.
How many reps?
We have about 20 shops We have 20 full-time instructors, 20 part-time instructors. Right now we have around 1,700 students going through the program. The daily routine of an apprentice is, first of all, they start, of course, early in the morning.
I'm here maybe 7 o'clock. Classes start at 8.
Excessive slag at the base of the metal after cutting it, what does that indicate?
We have some early morning classroom time when we first get here.
They will go to a classroom, discuss the project that they're working on in the shop.
How thick is your ridge, guys?
Maybe go through some blueprints. The instructor will mention what they're going to do today, and they get out and then start working in the shop. Everything we do is full size, so when we build a house, it's a full-size house. When we're doing drywall, we're doing metal studs, we're doing quite a few linear feet of it, just like you'd be doing out in the field. When they see what they've accomplished during the week and what they've built, it's something to see.
Very good.
Attitude means everything.
If you on time, you're late. That's one of the first things that they taught me at the school.
The biggest thing we try and instill is work ethic.
That's how we try to set ourselves apart from everybody else.
You know, when you start as an apprentice and you start working, you kind of are in the CRCC family.
My father's a union carpenter. He has been my whole life. I'm 23, and since then, my father's been bringing me on job sites.
My wife actually was a cabinet maker. I met her, she went through the same program.
I also had an uncle that was a carpenter. I had a neighbor that was a carpenter.
Just being part of a union, there's a kinship.
Our journeymen look out for our apprentices.
As long as you show a genuine interest, they love to show you what they know.
If a student wants to be a carpenter, we will help them in any way to succeed.
I got this laid out. Okay. These instructors, they do care. They'll stop you and they'll ask you like, hey, Mr. Tybor, how's everything? Is there anything you need? If you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask. And that makes you feel good inside.
I want them to have the drive that I had, have the fun that I had building.
My proudest moments of being an instructor is when I take a student who's never turned on a table saw before. They take a pile of pieces of material in front of them, have no idea even the names of them, and when they're all done, they have a finished cabinet, a finished countertop, finished toolbox. It's wonderful.
It's a source of pride as an instructor to see these guys develop.
There isn't anything better that happens is when they come to our graduation and I'm able to shake their hand and they now are journeymen.
That journeyman turns into a productive foreman, then he's a superintendent, and then hopefully they turn into a union contractor themselves.
This is just the beginning. This is a start.
It's great money, it's great benefits.
I'm living the dream.
Best instructor in the school right here.
We provide people with a career, a lifetime career.
Job sites across the nation buzz with the excitement of new construction and opportunity. But there's also the specter of very real danger looming over our workers. For some, this danger can change their lives forever.
My father's name was Roy Stanley Johnson. He was a craftsperson, served in the Vietnam War. He died on a job site when I was 3 years old. No son or daughter should ever have to go through that. That's how bad it is. You're lost. You don't have anyone to turn to. You don't have anyone to play ball with, go fishing with.
Scott's loss emphasizes how essential safety standards are and how hard the trades have worked to make job sites safer.
Labor is committed to all things in the workplace. Dignity, respect. Principle among all that is a safe work environment. Workers should come home to their families safe and sound, even after a hard day's work, and sometimes even it could be a dangerous occupation.
It is very important to every member on that job site, whether you're a carpenter or a fitter or an HVAC guy. We all watch each other's back. That's, there's some union pride, as you say.
Safety training, that's one of the things I take the most personally, because I could never live with myself if something really bad happened to one of my guys on my job.
As a contractor, one of their top priorities has got to be the safety of their men.
I want to send a guy home the same way he came in, safe. I want to let him go. I have a family, and I can only imagine what would happen with my family if I got hurt, and I don't want to see no one on my project get hurt.
And the trades aren't just striving to ensure the safety of their workers.
The things we do are not just to protect our workers, it protects the public, it protects other workers on the ground, you know, different trades. We want to make sure everybody's safe on the job site.
In a high-profile area like the city of Chicago, public safety and worker safety is the highest priority. The general contractors help with putting overhead scaffold protection. We help as we build the building higher. We put up different types of guardrail systems, fall protection, mesh systems for debris control to keep the public safe.
Every carpenter has certifications in safety, 30-hour OSHA, first aid, CPR. The equipment you have to have certifications on in order to stay safe, keep your other members of your job safe, and of course, make sure that the job is safe for the contractor.
Nowhere is this commitment to safety more evident than at the Chicago Regional Council of Carpenters Apprentice and Training Program.
Every general contractor has to have a running list of the chemicals that you're going to be exposed to.
Making sure that we do it right is probably one of the top priorities. That's why we're here and that's why we're union members, you know.
Pick one that you haven't had or haven't used.
We come here to be taught the right way to carry that out into the field and, you know, prove that there's a reason why we have a union labor force.
The first thing that you should be doing when you're inspecting this thing is holding it by the D-hook.
And then when they get on the roof, we talk about fall arrest systems, body harnesses, ropes, shock absorber lanyards, and anchor points, and how to install them and how to work safely with it.
After you get through all of the webbing, looks good, you got to go into the buckles.
Safety training isn't limited to just the apprentices. Journeymen often return to the training center to learn new standards or just refresh their knowledge base.
Some examples of anchorage connectors are tie-off adapters.
That's what we're doing at this time in the year right now. We're utilizing the union training centers to update our workers on fall protection training, scaffold training, qualified rigging, first aid and CPR, and OSHA 30-hour.
It isn't just the training, but the equipment and tools that tradespeople use that are becoming safer and safer.
The tools that the workers use all incorporate some sort of safety, whether it's a tool lanyard so you don't let go of it and it falls off of a building, or your fall protection so it's a part of the way you set things up.
There are saws that are available on the market now where if skin even comes in contact with the blade, that saw will stop within a millisecond.
The best part from a Bosch perspective is that when a worker goes to work and is able to come home without having any bodily injuries of any kind, especially when they're using our products, it's the greatest feeling that we have.
Human lives matter to us. Unions spend a lot of time, more than anybody, more than any other group, training their folks on safety.
The stakes for safety are so high. That's why the trades have and always will fight for the safety of workers and the public.
Roy probably would be my inspiration for safety, and to share that with other people and to say, believe me when I say you want to go home to your kids.
In the face of inordinate obstacles, women have always been an essential part of the American workforce.
There were some really important moments that gave us a boost in the workforce. World War I and II.
After the Industrial Revolution, when men had to go off to war, all the women had to pick up the slack and go and work in the factories and more into the trades.
My own grandmother worked in a canning factory and was kicked out of that job when the war was over. But while the war was going, you know, and they were canning up all kinds of food, you know, for the war, as a matter of fact, she had steady work and she loved it. I believe that if women were incapable and didn't want to do that work, we would have been in serious trouble during the war. We pulled our butts out of the fire there.
Women on the assembly line not only aided in the war effort, but also kept the economy going. And the American story has always been enriched by the efforts of strong women.
I've always broke the rules when it comes to what a female can do.
I'm aware that we stand on the shoulders of all the women before us.
We like to say, we will stand on each other's shoulders, but you better throw down a hand. to reach and grab somebody else.
After I graduated from college, a not-for-profit organization called Sunbow helped get me into the Carpenters Apprentice program. I would have never been able to find my way without the apprentice program.
While women have been a driving force in the economy, their path to secure professional equality has been wrought with difficulty.
Well, as far as being a woman in the trade, it's had its ups and downs, it's challenging.
When I went on the job site as a journeyman, everybody assumed I was an apprentice.
There's some that want to do my job for me.
I worked with some of the older guys who were, they were accepting, but more like I was their daughter.
And don't realize that I can do it myself.
But then I worked with some guys who just really absolutely just didn't have any use for women on the job site.
It's not really that bad of a deal. I can do anything that you can.
Today, I think a lot of the younger guys are just more accepting. It's just not a big issue for them. I do think women today still have to, do more work to prove themselves, and that's on every job they go on.
The men who are doing the same work as you are getting paid far more.
In the face of these challenges, hard work has borne results. In 2009, for instance, the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act aided the effort to achieve pay equity. Women are gaining more of a foothold in the workplace.
Under the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act, although it's good and it's a step in the right direction, at the pace that we're going, it won't be till about the year 2020 that we actually receive parity, where if they were part of a union contract today, they would get the rate regardless. If you do the work, you get the rate. It doesn't matter if you're a man, woman, gay, straight, race, age, sex, religion, national origin, disability. It doesn't matter. If you do the work, you get the rate. That's the beauty of a union contract.
There's definitely an uptick of women trying to get into the trades. It's great money, it's great benefits, and I know starting out as a first-year apprentice, the guy next to me, who's also a first-year apprentice, I know we're making the same wage.
When I was a teacher, it was a lot more difficult for me to obtain equal pay versus a man. When I joined the union, I was always guaranteed equal pay.
That union levels the playing field for women, and allows us to, make that decent wage. It's very important.
This isn't the same workforce that we had 20 years ago. Women in the trade are needed.
Organizations such as Chicago Women in Trades and the National Association of Women in Construction are working hard to introduce more women into the trades.
I did the 9-week pre-apprenticeship with Chicago Women in Trades. They went to each trade, so each woman could try to figure out what they were good at and what they would like to pursue. And they also helped with math. So they really just prepare you for being in any trade that you choose to go into.
I've always loved carpentry. I never knew how to get involved and make a career out of it. And next week I will be starting with a company and I will become a first-year apprentice cabinet maker.
Well, I've always really liked building and seeing projects come from start to finish. Something that I had a large interest in growing up, helping Dad build on the stuff that he was working on. I go home just as tired as my husband, who's an operator. I still cook and I still do all the dishes and help the kids with their homework. And it's a joint effort.
We make that mark.
Any program that the Carpenters have, from residential, commercial, concrete, pile driver, cabinet maker, there is a spot for women and it's encouraged.
You represent more when you go into a non-traditional field like that. You become somebody else to your family, somebody different.
It's a good sense of pride going home knowing that I've done a hard day's work and made a good living to help out my family.
My son knows all the buildings where I build. We go down the highway and he knows there's a lot of pride in that. I love being able to say, I did that, as if I built the whole building by myself. I say it like that.
It's amazing to look back on the day and go, wow, look at what we did.
When you're in the trades, that's a big deal, right? You can see what you did.
The soldiers of this great nation are remarkable individuals. Throughout our history, they have answered the call to serve with bravery, intrepidness, and a sense of adventure, often cultivated from a young age.
I grew up on a healthy diet of Full Metal Jacket and G.I. Joe, and that's what I wanted. By the time I was 11, I was writing letters to the Marine Corps.
As far back as I can remember, probably about at the age of 3, I wanted to do what my dad did. You know, I wanted to serve. I wanted to go fight for my country.
Since 2001, our country has been involved in military conflict abroad, and the members of our armed forces have served through the most difficult of circumstances, with distinction and honor.
Being in Afghanistan was kind of surreal for me. I never thought, oh, I'd be here or I'd end up being in combat.
I would tell a lot of my guys, my younger guys, you know, you're already dead. Don't worry about getting shot, don't worry about dying. If it happens, it's gonna happen and it's probably gonna suck, but just do your job.
And the challenges don't end when their deployments are over.
Transitioning out of the military was probably harder than actually being there.
So I got so addicted to the rush of being in a firefight that when I came home, I would shake. And it was a big internal struggle.
You know, that was my job. I was there to do my job, and that was it.
When I went to the VFW, I was not well.
Returning to civilian society can be difficult. Too often, those serving and their families have disproportionately carried the burden of war.
So it took me a little while to integrate back and do socialization with people.
You just feel really out of place, and you don't feel a commonality with anybody, and you know, it takes a while to work back into that.
These are proud people who are looking for an opportunity to work and serve.
The Chicago Regional Council is committed to hiring the heroes. We work along with the Helmets to Hard Hats with our veterans.
The Chicago Regional Council of Carpenters Apprentice and Training Program offers a unique opportunity to join the trades and receive exceptional training as a carpenter at state-of-the-art facilities. Not only is it free of cost, but apprentices get paid while they learn, and veterans enrolled in the program can receive funds they earn through the GI Bill.
They earn that GI Bill, they can use it for their apprenticeship.
If a veteran comes in after he has taken and passed the test, we put them to the top of the list.
Because they served and they earned it, and they deserve it. We need to recognize the sacrifices they have made for our freedom.
Knowing that there's programs available out there, just that little bit of help is a good thing to know.
My cousin is a carpenter. He told me about the program, so I went out to the Union 250. They told me about the Helmets to Hard Hats, so they sponsored me and everything, and they told me to go to the school.
Helmets to Hard Hats online, it's a program for veterans that get them into construction trades, and just so happened the day I went onto the website, I saw that the Chicago Regional Council of Carpenters was taking applications.
As soon as they enter the program, the veterans begin on the path to their new career.
Just being back in the classroom environment is kind of a shocker to me.
And this distance here, right, we have to find that out.
You're learning a lot of stuff real fast, a lot of math. And I give guys to this job a lot of credit for that. I did not realize that coming into it. A lot of thinking, a lot of hard work.
But these vets are built for a challenge. And under the tutelage of the most qualified instructors, they are ready to engage.
056.
Working with the instructors are great. They're here to help you. They're always there to answer a question.
I enjoyed my instructors. The way they teach is a very firm but fair method.
They're very hands-on. They show you what to do. If you're struggling in math, they'll help you with the math. If you're struggling on a project, they'll help you with the project.
It isn't just the veterans who benefit, though. The UBC adds carpenters to their ranks who possess solid foundations and exemplify the union's best values.
The veterans that do come back and get involved in the Helmets to Hard Hats are some of the best we have.
First of all, they're our heroes, and second of all, they know what hard work is.
This person's already been disciplined. He understands that there's rules. He understands that he has to be on time.
They're disciplined, they're prompt, they get it.
Taking orders.
That get it done mentality, that definitely applies in this industry because it's a very demanding industry.
They're trained to work in groups, and that's what carpentry is. It doesn't take one person to build a building, it takes hundreds.
We formed bonds together. I didn't know these guys from Adam before I walked in here, and we're pretty tight now.
In my squad, my platoon, we were very close. We worked very well together.
And I learned skills here that could help me form a better team when I'm out on the workforce.
The trades respect all that our vets have done and are striving to ensure that as they leave one brotherhood, another is there to embrace them.
The Chicago Regional Council of Carpenters, it's a great program for veterans.
As a father of a Marine, I strongly feel that when they end their military career, that they have a viable career to go to.
A lot of jobs, if something happens to you, your boss says you're gone, you're gone. You really have no recourse. The union's the big brother. They're there to say, hold on a minute. We're watching out for this guy.
It gives me a good sense, knowing that somebody has your back.
Our veterans are our heroes. And if we can help them out with a career, if they're interested in carpentry, we're going to do the best we can to get them through our program.
Look out over our buzzing cities or down into the palm of your hand. It's clear that we live in an age defined by technological advancement.
There isn't a month that goes by where the technology hasn't changed.
The students we have coming in, they're used to technology. It's the generation now that's grown up with the video games and the iPhones. So for them to come into the training center where they think, okay, I'm going to learn how to use a saw or a framing square. And then all of a sudden we're showing them a tablet-based twin laser layout system.
Routers, electrified door hardware, a lot of things are going towards being operated from your iPhone.
And these technological advancements have become part of the curriculum at the Chicago Regional Council of Carpenters Apprentice and Training Program for carpenters at the very beginning of their career and in the middle.
Doctors have to go back to school, lawyers go back to school, professional carpenters have to go back to school.
The thing the school does is they give you advancement classes as far as stuff that you didn't learn in pre-apprenticeship, as far as welding, doors and hardware.
We have tremendous opportunity for journeymen to come back in to get upgraded, learn the new technology, and learn the different tools, saw stops.
This is the Bosch Reax job site table saw. Above and beyond the capabilities of being able to cut large pieces of plywood all the way down to smaller pieces is the precision that it also provides. But the additional feature that we added to it is the active response technology.
If it detects skin in 1 millisecond, the blade not only stops immediately, but drops down below the table.
The active response system actually is projecting an electric field onto the blade itself. With the electric field that you have in your body, once those fields touch each other, the reaction of the system doesn't activate, and therefore the blade goes below the table itself.
Go ahead and try this on.
Through technology, a student may be introduced to a new craft with less risk and less waste of materials.
Some 3 or 4 years ago, we invested in virtual welding.
You're going to get comfortable. There you go. And whenever you're ready.
It's more muscle memory than anything. It's technique. Once they get the technique down, they're going to become good welders.
The computer judges his welding capabilities and suggests what he needs to do in order to improve.
This does everything except get the rod to stick to the metal. What the virtual welder's doing is saving us about 18,000 pounds of material since we bought the 2 virtual welders 2 years ago.
All right, gentlemen, this is the QML 800. And you can see on the TV screen, that is our layout.
In the carpenter's brave new world, paper is a thing of the past.
The union is trying to stay ahead of the curve. They want us to be more efficient, more professional.
I mean, we definitely teach them to lay out the tried and true regular ways of laying out. And to me, that helps them to get a better understanding when they actually use the technology.
I'm going to line it up on my crosshairs in the center of the circle. That right down is the point we want to mark, so go ahead and mark that.
There is lasers that are used for alignment. There are lasers that actually talk to each other and lay out a whole building.
We have a radius wall in this blueprint, do we not? So I'm just going to lay this out. Staking point 42, which is the next one on my radius line.
We punch in where the points are located. The dual lasers go to cross the point on that system that's marked out on the tablet. We mark that point, we hit the next point. The lasers, before we can get over there, they're pretty much marking where that next point is. We make a mark, we snap a line. The CRCC has a strong commitment towards technology because we have to provide the workforce for the contractors.
A commitment the union contractors and shops take to heart.
I think you have to incorporate technology into business. And you look at where we're at in the United States just in terms of manufacturing, but finding those products that we can produce here in the United States, leveraging technology to not replace jobs, but to augment and improve them. There are things that we do and how we make our product now that haven't changed in hundreds of thousands of years, whereas the computer can make a straight line better than any person. It's important to have that precision and to really utilize the expertise and the experience of the craftsman for things that require that extra eye, that attention to detail. So everything we're doing is being designed in CAD in three-dimensional models, and from there it's going out and starting its life a lot of times on the CNC router. This is automated, it's cutting it precision based on those drawings. I think any time that we've wanted to try something new in terms of technology, the union has never pushed back out of fear that it will replace a job because they've seen that it doesn't. What we've been able to do is have our guys be more effective with technology. Those are experienced tradesmen who have gone through a process, who have learned their skill, who have refined their crafts. And that's really, when we have the union label, we're honored to have it on our trucks and on our product because our customers know that it's Kane Millwork, it's 1027, and they know that they're getting someone who really knows what they're doing.
You got the correct angle there.
We definitely feel a lot of pride in our ability to stay ahead of the game with the technology, to push our skill set out in the field and basically stay competitive by using technology.
My father's name is Francisco Salgado. My dad actually moved to the United States when he was 18, met my mom. I'm the oldest of 5. We kind of had a modest upbringing, but they always took care of us. We had what we needed anyway. My dad had a real sense of pride. He had a pride in country. He was from Mexico, and he also was real proud to live in America and the opportunities that he got. He always told me, you know, hard work is what's going to get you where you need to be, right?
But after high school, Frank needed direction.
I didn't have plans for what I was going to do in the future. So I tried the junior college down the street. I basically made a little pact with myself saying I was going to give myself 2 years. If I didn't figure it out, I was going to sign up for the military.
He paid his way waiting tables, where he met the woman who would become his wife.
I definitely knew that I was in love right off the bat, right? It was kind of corny. The way we got along, she was just my favorite person, my best friend still to this day. I got to meet her family. They, I think, could tell that I was somebody that she was interested in as well. Her father is a retired contractor and union carpenter, right? So he just saw that opportunity. He kind of knew I was in pretty good shape. You know, I was in the military. It was right after basic training. So he said, why don't you give this a try?
Frank was in the 4th year of his apprenticeship when his National Guard unit was called up.
We were deployed to Baghdad, and I was the only carpenter in my unit. That was kind of neat because occasionally they need a door hung or they need something built, shelves, something like that. So I would be the go-to guy. Well, I was able to build these lofts to give us more room. So our room was the room to hang out in. Everybody played cards in our room and stuff like that. So we would go out and do patrols for 14 to 18 hours, and 80% of the time nothing happened. We were just kind of hanging out. We're out on a normal patrol just like any other day, and I was in the turret of our Humvee, and we were just driving along like any other day, and then before you know it, boom, there's a big explosion. You know, at the time, it's, you almost don't have time to be scared or anything, but there's the explosion, there's dust everywhere, you can't see anything. A friend of mine, he noticed that I was bleeding, you know, and I didn't know it at the time, but I took some shrapnel to my arm. So my squad leader has me get down. I went to see the medic, and they bandaged me up. But I mean, really, you don't have time to be scared when it comes to that, to be honest. It's almost scarier watching one of your buddies when their truck gets blown up, because it doesn't look like anyone could survive that.
Frank didn't sustain long-term damage from the shrapnel in his arm. He was awarded the Purple Heart, and after completing his deployment, he returned home to the woman who captured his heart. Frank took up the tools of his trade once more, and his excellence in the field led him back to where it all began.
If you had asked me during the apprentice program if I was ever going to be an instructor, I would have thought it was crazy. My military background plays a whole lot in the way I instruct my students, right? So I impress upon them day one, we're going to work hard.
Being in Mr. Salgado's class, with him being a vet, he wants you to be able to say, I'm in the world and there's things that you're supposed to do. And if you're not going to sit here and be on time, if you're not going to play by the rules, then there's no reason to do it.
As far as work ethic too, or if I got to get something done, I got to get it done now.
He's always trying to help us, asking us if we understand things, if things make more sense.
It's good when you see a student like catch on. That's where you get a sense of pride.
I can't put this 18-foot stringer up here by myself. I'm gonna need somebody to help me.
In the military, to get a job done, you all gotta work together, and I can't necessarily do what I do unless you're doing what you do.
So not depending on them, they're depending on me, we get the job done.
So that brotherhood we get here as union carpenters, we gotta have each other's back in order for our union to go forward. I have a 5- and a 7-year-old boy, and it's definitely something where they'll see me doing work, or they know the work that I do, and as they get older, it's something I'm gonna try to give them some of that knowledge, but some of that work ethic and that sense of pride they could get from a good day's work, just like that, just like my dad showed me.
I would just like to say welcome to Michelle Clark, where it's always a great day. A great day to be an Eagle.
Take your hoodie off before you enter the class.
This was a middle school at first, so a lot of things were geared toward like 6th, 7th, 8th graders. When it became a high school, there were still things kind of on a 6th, 7th grade level, and the kids were on a grown adult level.
Athletics and sports and those things are losing funding just like everything else.
We started making do with having them run outside around the building, run through the building, doing push-ups on their own and things like that.
Bodybuilding.com's Lift Life Foundation is a nonprofit 501c3 organization based out of Boise, Idaho. Our mission is to find underfunded and neglected high school weight rooms from across the country, go in and completely transform them into state-of-the-art training facilities, and we do it all for free.
We were in some bad shape. And if we were in church, all you guys would say, amen. There was this call out to schools saying, why don't you do a video? There might be someone who will give you guys a new weight room. We sent it in right under the gun because we kept saying, what should we do? Are we sure this takes the good?
Our weight room is not in the best of condition, but we do what we can to get the job done.
We went through Lift Life Foundation and saw like some of the before and afters, and I remember saying to him, if you could just give us one of the befores. That's how bad I was, but we'll take a before.
The facilities director for Chicago Public Schools put us in touch with a couple of the different local unions.
We got a phone call from Pat Noonan. He's a business representative for Local 1185. He called me up and he said, listen, there's this project in your area where we need some volunteers.
The Carpenters, when they came in, we talked a little bit, and they looked around, and I was like, okay, here's my vision. Knock these walls down. How do we move this stuff around? What else can we do?
We had 2 separate rooms that were divided by a concrete cinder block wall.
The door that was installed there was just a big brick opening. We had to reframe that, drywall it, and install a new door. There was a lot of moving parts, a lot of volunteers, and thanks to them, that made it possible.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
When the kids first come in here, that's the best part of this entire process.
We went from having 2 workout machines to like 7 in this room right now.
Oh yeah, this too late. I need another 45 when it's too late.
I felt like a little kid myself, like if I was receiving a present, just to see them how happy they were.
It's amazing. I really appreciate this.
Good, shows that people actually care.
What hit home actually with this project is I'm a product of CPS. So I got to see myself in a lot of these kids.
So an active construction site at the school was interesting, to say the least. There are some kids that walk around just saying, show me how you fix that. Show me how to put this together.
Maybe what these kids are trying to do is trying to get into the trades and hopefully become carpenters.
We made arrangements now where our kids will get a chance to go to the union to see some of those opportunities, but that was something that wouldn't have happened had this not happened. There's some people that will come to your school and do what they got to do and leave. They came and said, so now we're doing this for your kids, what else can we do for them?
What's up, guys? Take Principal Charles on today? Yeah. See who can pound hammers? You guys can go in there so you don't have to freeze out here.
We picked the seniors because they're so close to graduating, because now they're at the point where they got to make some decisions.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
I'm so excited about this opportunity, especially for those that love working with their hands, love tinkering, have an imaginative mind on building. This is going to be great for them.
Yes, question?
Is this like a competition?
Life is a competition. A lot of people think that the only way to be successful is to go to college. A lot of people think that, and so they tell their kids that, they're told that at school. A lot of people do not understand what the trades have to offer. Right? This is the piece of paper where you're going to put your measurements on. So measurement number 1 goes from the outside, see where the arrows go, to the end of the piece of wood.
When I first, I'm thinking we was just gonna learn something about it or get like a presentation like we did. But then we came down here and then we started working as like groups and stuff.
Folks, no cutting without gloves. Wait till you're ready. This is called a jab saw. So I'm gonna twist while I'm getting it down in there. We bring people here for hands-on demonstrations. Make a mark, especially a hands-on that has some basics to it.
Measuring, yeah. Actually finding the measurements on the little board, that was real, that was amazing.
So I'm gonna butt into that and measure all the way to here.
You gotta cut like this rectangle out to match perfectly on this little plank that they had.
First you measure 2 5/8, now you're measuring 5.
It's like right here.
You got to make sure that this and the bottom are on the edge.
And we find that some kids have already used tools. The hammer's got to go down on the plywood. You use that for leverage. But most of them haven't. They are not used to it. And then I'm going to bring it up. Let the hammer do the work.
The thing I liked the most here was nailing into the wall.
Ready?
I already got my start.
Set, go. These are not even real nails yet, right? These are 8-penny nails.
It's like my first time doing something out the box.
I think you went all the way into the table.
It's not no everyday thing.
Twin, just a hair. Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Here you go. One more. 1, 2, 3. Here you go.
I never seen nothing like it.
I got about 6 apprentices here, all good hard workers. Basically lucky enough to be surrounded by about 18 journeymen.
We're doing exterior framing and then working on the molding and the ceiling grid here.
I did installation of frames too, how metal frames.
20 West is the project name. It's a 6-story apartment complex.
I actually started going to school, tried to get a degree in computers, but I realized that what was going to be the best for me was getting a trade, and get a stable job.
I saw how much it was going to take for me to get a school loan, have to be paid off, and how many years before I can actually start making money and learn.
I had just regular jobs before this that weren't going nowhere, so I decided to join this for the great benefits, the career opportunity, and longevity.
I just don't think people realize that the amount of effort and skill that actually does go into the jobs that we do. It's something that more young kids should look into.
I was kind of working some, part-time jobs. My mother had came across the show Built to Last. As soon as I turned on the show, I got excited because it was my city that they were showing. I was working a part-time job. There was a guy who was in a pre-apprenticeship program, gave me the school's number, and it just went from there. The show definitely inspired me, to go after it.
I was a welder for Caterpillar Tractor in the late 70s, and there was a downturn in the economy, but I would hook up with some guys and build houses. Learned enough about the trade to get into it and worked my way up the ranks, foreman, and then became a superintendent.
Now your schedule, you started here today on this floor.
Yeah.
I became a carpenter, and through the years, I went from carpenter to lead carpenter, up to carpenter foreman. I enrolled in the carpenter's training program for superintendent.
The superintendent training program is available to all journeymen and apprentices or foremen or superintendents. It's made by the Association of General Contractors. This is an entry level into becoming a foreman or superintendent.
How eventually I came into this role was putting a hands-on field experience and then applying the school aspect of it and learning construction management methods and techniques and then fusing that all together.
I did that out in Las Vegas, took advantage of that. And I had a lot of great teachers, past superintendents, owners, and fellow carpenters alike.
My experienced superintendents come from a carpenter's background. They're builders who understand the process of a structure, whether it's starting in foundation work and then working your way up through the building. Knowing the sequence is very important.
The sky is the limit here. You can, get to be a foreman, a superintendent, who knows, maybe advancing the company even further.
My main goal is to work my way up in their company one day.
Possibly becoming a foreman at some point in time, but one day at a time.
They make you feel like you belong someplace.
You know, it was nice to get an applause from my brothers as I was sworn in. You know, it felt good, made me feel proud to be a local member.
Around here, definitely welcoming. They're always looking for new people, new guys to show the reins to.
As an immigrant, you sometimes feel probably you don't belong somewhere.
Being a part of the union definitely makes me feel like I'm, you know, a part of a brotherhood.
Did a nice job.
I like where I'm at, and I like where I'm headed. I know there's still a lot more ahead of me. I feel like I'm growing every day. There's guys that get out fresh out of high school and go to the apprenticeship.
And I actually enjoy going to the training center, for example, and get classes there.
17 foot something.
I mean, who pays you to teach you things?
You start going to the classroom, you start using your skills on the field.
11 point. Most important is definitely the benefits that comes along with being a union carpenter.
Pension, the annuity.
No student debt.
I know people that has been in college for several years, and they are working as servers.
The health benefits, you know, it's all top of the line.
Obviously the pay, it gets better every year, which is always great.
You get to provide, you know, for your family.
I just feel a lot more fortunate being a union worker.
I became a carpenter because I wanted to build a better future and be part of something bigger than myself.